Hey guys, Jarek here, and Komodo's back for some more Halo 4. This time we're going to be doing some SWAT, and SWAT's always one of those game modes that I've always really enjoyed playing it. Halo 4 is, for the most part, no different. Some of the maps like this one are fucking terrible, and there is a few hit detection problems, but other than that, you can still have fun with it. I just don't think it'll ever be as good as Halo 2 SWAT, because that's probably the most fun I've had with SWAT in any of the Halo games.
Yeah, I actually started on Halo 3, so I can't really weigh in on that.
You know, actually, I take that back. I just said SWAT because Halo 2 is technically where SWAT started, but in all reality, people have been playing in Halo 1 for pistols and no shields for a really long time. That's the majority of what I did, so technically Halo 1 is my favorite, but I don't think that kind of counts.
I never really played the multiplayer. I've said this many times before. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, you never played the multiplayer for Halo 1. A lot of people didn't play the multiplayer for Halo 1 because it was PC only, and a lot of people remember Halo's multiplayer just from, like, LAN and stuff. And I gotta say, you really are missing out because Halo 1's multiplayer on PC was, in my opinion, quite easily the best multiplayer for Halo. And I don't just mean like the game was the best, like the servers were the best, you can do absolutely everything, the custom games were ridiculous, and they were all over the place. It was just so much easier to manage. You had complete control over it. It was pretty awesome. So yeah, questions. Ask questions below. I will answer them in future videos. For now, let's answer some of the questions that I have received in the past. This one is, what video game would you find yourself most emotionally immersed in or tied into the characters and plot? And this is an easy, immediate answer for me is Spec Ops: The Line. Like, when it comes to story, I seriously can't think of another game that's anywhere close to Spec Ops: The Line. Wrong place, wrong time. Yeah, I can't even think of a even close follow-up to that. Like, when it comes to most shooters especially, the primary focus with shooters is gameplay first, story later. And a lot of shooters don't even care about the story. They don't even think about it. And Spec Ops: The Line is the complete opposite way around. I honestly think that game would have worked better if it was a movie rather than a game, because the gameplay itself was kind of mediocre. You could kind of enjoy it. It wasn't terrible, but it definitely could have been better. Without a doubt, it could have been a lot better.
I'm having a hard time coming up with any games that I really got emotionally immersed in. I mean, yeah, no, I really got nothing. I'm sure there's at least one or two, but just drawing a blank here.
Yeah, I'm sure there's more, but it's just when there's something that stands out that much, it completely blinds you over other games. Actually, I can think of a second one, and people are probably going to laugh for this. It's one of the Spyro games. People will laugh, and it actually is rather annoying that people have the opinion that newer Spyros entirely are terrible. And for a while, this was kind of true, because after...
Skylanders.
Well, I'm not talking about that. That can fuck itself. I don't even care if that game is good, because the game itself is good. It's just, you don't take Spyro as your whole marketing method when it has nothing to do with Spyro. That's just selling it out for kids that don't even know who Spyro are.
So Spyro are? You pirate
Good
now?
enough, you get my point. But as I was saying, yeah, some of the Spyro games were kind of bad after Insomniac left during the PS2 era. But the Legend of Spyro series was actually pretty good. It was a trilogy that was... The third one especially was very good. And the story was something that, as goofy as it looked and as goofy as it was, you could take it seriously. And it was a completely different kind of game from Spyro. Spyro has always been this kind of childish, fun kids game, fucking camper. It's always been this childish, fun kids game, and people like it for that. People like the older Spyros because you didn't necessarily have to be a kid to enjoy it either. It kind of appealed to every single audience. Whereas The Legend of Spyro kind of understood that, alright, the Spyro fanbase has grown up at this point, we're going to make it a little bit more serious, and people probably cringe at my explanation for that, but it's really not that bad. The way they did it was pretty good.
I'll be honest, you've been trying to get me to play this game forever, and the only thing that really stood out to me about it was the fact that, what was it, Elijah Wood was Spyro?
Yeah, it was, well, that's the main thing, like, the voice actors were really good, like, they were Hollywood voice actors.
And didn't they have Gary Oldman as, Ignitus?
Yeah, they had, like, a bunch of really top-notch voice actors, which was completely out of expected for that game. It also had a crazy good soundtrack, which I didn't expect either. So... You know, it was just one of those games that kind of ended up being a surprise. It did things I did not expect it to do. And to be completely fair, the first two in the trilogy, gameplay-wise, were rather... Voice crack, ignore that. The first two games in the trilogy were rather bland gameplay-wise and got very, very repetitive very quick. And the third one took a major step up when a different studio got the game. Still the same story and voice actors and everything, but the gameplay improved dramatically. And there's a hit detection you'll see every once in a while where it just doesn't work. Alright, so someone asked me what happened to the video at the end of the best Halo 4 Forge maps. I was having a rendering issue. I rendered the video a good 4 or 5 times, and for some reason it just wouldn't want to render correctly on the last one. I have no idea why, so I apologize for that, but nothing I can really do about it. Which console, if you would even consider a console, would you want? I've talked about this before. My only interest in consoles is entirely exclusives. The way I see consoles is they hold the exclusives hostage, and I have to buy the console to play the exclusives I want to play. I don't want the consoles. I don't want any of them. They're still locked down. I can't change my FOV. I can't really do a whole lot with it. I mean, it'd be a better experience on PC, hands down, and I have the PC to play it. So why would I not want to play on PC unless I don't have a choice? But if I did have to choose right now, the obvious one is definitely PlayStation 4. I have been kind of looking at some of the exclusives on PlayStation 4. The new Killzone game actually looks pretty good, and you honestly groaned when I mentioned Killzone. You did!
Well, I mean, I believe it was Killzone 2 I was playing, and I was like, I've heard a lot of people say good things about it, and I wanted to try it, and just... I think I got maybe a quarter of the way through the game before I realized, I have no idea what's fucking going on. Everybody's yelling at me, and I can't understand anyone. And then there was the fact that I peeked over cover to fire a rocket at somebody, and it exploded on the wall and killed me.
Invisible walls are fun. Well, that's what I said. My main problem with that is most shooters immediately, they take gameplay over story, and Killzone is not a game you play for the story.
Well, I didn't know that.
People will try to argue against that, but Killzone has fun gameplay, and really that's all I look at it. But the new one definitely looks interesting and different from the older ones. I showed you a little bit of gameplay, and that's a lot more gimmicks, kind of more open-ended things. It just looks more interesting.
It reminded me of Crysis.
It kind of reminded me of Crysis and Far Cry 3, kind of a mixture. Anyway, SWAT game. Enjoy it.